Hello and welcome to another episode of the R.Y.S.E Movement Podcast. I'm Dave, and in this episode we talk all about meditation, hypnosis, and flow states. Welcome to the R.Y.S.E Movement Podcast, a place where men just like you learn to raise your standards everywhere. So this is one of my favorite topics to talk about because I have been learning to meditate, I've been doing hypnosis and stuff like that since about 2012. So back in 2012, I was PTing out of a gym called Phoenix, and I had a client. He only came with me for one 30-minute session on a Friday night at 6 p.m. And in that time that we trained together, we only trained maybe 4 or 5 months. But in that time, he taught me so much about learning to calm my mind, about meditation, about consciousness. And honestly, I reflect upon his teachings to me many times in the week whenever I'm contemplating mindfulness or I'm contemplating my practices, my breath work, whatever it is. This man, Ben, can't remember his last name, but Ben, the things he taught me about meditation, about consciousness, blew my mind. When I was in my early 20s, I was fresh to the personal training industry. I was naive and I was a piece of shit, like I've said in many episodes now. But a lot of it came because I was so fragile inside. I was so insecure. I had so many demons and just negative voices and everything inside. I'm staring down the barrel of an ADHD diagnosis at the moment, and life was always chaos in my mind. I've never had good mental health. Meaning Ben, man, did that change the game. I remember one night he sat me down after we finished training and he made me just become aware of my senses. And he goes, when was the last time you were ever actually inside your body experiencing? I was like, oh, I don't even know what that means. So I'm going to do this little exercise with you guys that he did with me. So the first thing I want you to do is become aware with your breathing. Just notice the rise and the fall of your chest, where your belly expands, what happens with your shoulders. Are you nose breathing? Are you mouth breathing? That's step one. Now I want you to go into peripheral vision. So bring your vision all the way out to 180 degrees and just be aware of everything that you can actually see. Now I want you to take in 3 different distinct smells. With that, you just learnt to get somewhat inside your body. Let's take it a little bit further. Your body has this almost pulsing, vibrating nature to it. I want you to notice that sitting in your hands and in your fingertips right now. I want you to notice that there's an itchy spot on your body right now somewhere. Let's get a little bit deeper. If you're wearing shoes, perhaps your shoes are starting to feel a little bit uncomfortable on your feet. All of these sorts of things that we just ran through then, these body awareness drills is what Ben taught me back in 2012. And it is the start of learning to become the observer when it comes to consciousness. When you meditate, when you are doing hypnosis, when you're in the flow state, you are the observer. Right now, you're doing. Whatever you're doing listening to this podcast, you're doing, okay? What happens when you get into a state of relaxation to allow you to be hypnotized, to allow you to do meditation practices, and also when you get into flow state, you're not consciously there. You're consciously checked out. Subconsciously, you're there and you're turned up to 11. What happens when in all of these states, and I'm going to explain what happens when it comes to the difference between meditation, hypnosis, and flow state. However, they're largely linked, and they're linked through the brainwaves. The first thing that we'll talk about when it comes to the brainwaves is what you guys are listening to me in right now. Apologies if you guys can hear the little one coughing. She's not too well with the flu at the minute. But what we're going to talk about, start off with, is the brainwaves. So right now, you guys are sitting in what's called beta brainwaves, either high range or low range beta brainwaves. These are frantic, erratic. These brainwaves are for doing. This is what majority of people operate in majority of the day. When you are in clarity and focus, say you're in study mode, and you're engaged and present, this is called alpha brainwaves. It's a step down, it's a step lower. It's a lot more coherent, it's a lot more relaxed, and makes a lot of sense. The step below that is theta brainwaves. And theta brainwaves are the seat of the subconscious mind. Theta brainwaves allow you to reprogram the subconscious mind. And then below that, we have delta. Delta is the brainwaves that you get into in deep restful sleep. And then we've also got gamma brainwaves. The main two brainwaves that we're going to be talking about today is alpha and theta. If you haven't noticed, in this podcast, I'm attempting and doing my best to talk a little bit slower. I'm doing my best to make sure that we can pull your brainwaves from beta down into alpha, not into theta, because if you're driving or you're working or whatever you're doing, I don't want you to be operating any machinery or anything while we do this. Because if you go into theta brainwaves and you're driving or, operating machinery, bad things can happen. That's where, essentially you go to sleep. So I want to make sure that you guys are moving down into a nice, relaxed and coherent state of alpha brainwaves, so that you can be focused, so that you can have clarity, and so that you can understand and almost cement in stone what we talk about today through this here. So when I first learnt about all of these things that I've just shared with you guys with Ben, the body awareness, the mindfulness, telling me about the brainwaves and things like that, like I said, it blew my mind. It opened up a perspective that I hadn't had before. I hadn't been able to. It was just so far outside of my realm of existence because I was so focused on, hedonism, I guess. I remember this is the same time where I was, single, personal trainer, not vindictive, but manipulative, and, had lots of sex and fucked people over and all these sorts of things. So he came into my life right as that all was happening. I guess there was this weird, thing from the universe, call it polarity, whatever, because everything was so chaotic. He came into my life to make it a little bit more peaceful. And ultimately, that's what meditation taught me initially, is peace. I've never had peace. Like I said at the start of this podcast, I've always had terrible mental health until my late 20s. And then when I learnt meditation, when I learnt mindfulness, it completely changed everything. Poor darling. So, the translation from Tibetan for meditation is to become familiar with your mind. So think of it this way. Anytime that you are spending time with the kids, you're meditating on the kids. When you are going to the gym, you're meditating on the gym. When you're reading a book, you're meditating upon the book. All of these practices can be thought of as meditation. So now you guys understand that you're already meditating. You can take out the notion out of your mind that you don't know how to meditate or you can't meditate, because everyone can absolutely do it. Everyone can be hypnotized. Everyone can go into meditation, and everyone can achieve flow state. The thing between flow state and meditation is you're going from alpha brainwaves to theta in meditation, same as hypnosis, but flow state stays in the alpha brainwaves. When you're meditating, it's very, very hard to actually get down into theta brainwaves unless you're an experienced meditator or you're using a guided meditation. However, a little caveat, if you're using a guided meditation, you're not actually meditating, you're being hypnotized. If you go onto YouTube and you type in guided meditation, majority of the time they're going to use a language pattern called the Milton model, which is a hypnotic language pattern to make sure that you can become very relaxed and go into a nice deep state of relaxation, go into a meditative state, so on and so forth. But what they're actually doing is they're hypnotizing you. So they're different, okay? It's hard. It's hard to say because this is such a deep topic and I've studied it for so long. When it comes to meditation and hypnosis, for myself at least, they're one and the same. They're exactly the bloody same for me. I still get the exact same observer effect. I still get the exact same like reprogramming subconscious, being able to experience things, somnambulism and stuff like that. Like, it's one and the same for me. For you guys that are starting out, you might want to try and play and see which way you like the most. You might want to be able to see if you can do some guided hypnotherapy, or, you know, guided meditation, or just listen to a mantra chant, or, you know, Tibetan bowls or something like that. There's a multitude of ways that you can do these two practices. Flow state's a little bit differently. I'm going to go into that a little bit later. But when it comes to experiencing and experimenting, you are becoming familiar with your mind. You're becoming familiar with your emotions. You're becoming familiar with that part of you that you really don't want to look at. Remember one of my favorite Carl Jung quotes, that which you seek is where you least want to look. So meditating to become familiar with allows you to become familiar with whatever you want to contemplate with, whatever you want to hold as an intention, whatever you want to focus on. So you're becoming familiar with that thing. Okay, let's move on. So a couple of moments ago, I said, for those who think that they can't meditate or don't know how, I want you to think of this, to add another layer into your ability and knowledge that you do know how to meditate. I want you to close your eyes, unless you're driving, oh, God forbid. I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to imagine a road, 6-lane highway, moving from left to right. And I want you to notice the cars going by. These cars you're going by, you're not jumping in with them and going along for a ride. You're sitting and observing. You're sitting on the sidelines and you're looking down at the highway. There's some trucks that go past and they're a little bit longer. There's some motorbikes that go past and they zip off real quick. I want you to add another layer to this metaphor. The cars on the highway and the trucks and the motorbikes and everything like that, they are thoughts. A small thought is a motorbike. A car is much larger, and a truck or a semi-trailer is even bigger than that. The big thing here, you're not going off to work with the people in the truck. You're not zipping by on the motorbike with that little flash of a thought that says, oh, I need to get spinach. The thing is, you're observing the cars, the thoughts that come into your mind while you're attempting to meditate, while you're trying to do mindfulness or contemplation or anything like that. These cars, these thoughts that come into your mind, you don't need to jump in the car and go off with them. You can sit back and observe. So one thing that I like to do whenever I'm noticing a thought come in is I'll notice it as that car coming in and I'll stick with it. Because it might be an interesting thought. There might be something there with that thought that allows me to have further introspection for myself, or it's something that I hadn't considered before from my unconscious that popped up and said, hey, probably think about this with this intention. I've had it many times where I've had a thought come into my mind and I think, that's interesting, I'm going to jump on that. And I come out of the meditation session, I've always got a pen and pad ready to go, and I take down some notes, I do some journaling, and I get to the bottom of what that thought was. A lot of the time when I meditate these days, I'm kind of figuring out and making connections. It's like, imagine, you're building Lego bricks, and each connection that I make is another Lego brick that stacks in and it kind of creates something. When I do meditation and I'm going through these things, I'm not choosing to, I guess, remove myself from the meditation and distract myself from it. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to integrate. And so my meditation practices are very much about integrating thoughts. So I'm not jumping in with all the cars that are on the highway. If there's something interesting, there's something that could make me be a better man, there's something that could raise my standards more. If there's something that I could be a better father, a better partner, a better trainer, a better coach, all these things, I'm going to jump on that thing because there's gold inside of that. So for you guys starting out, create the mental movie. Close your eyes, visualize the road, see the cars, see the thoughts, and say goodbye to them. Have a great day. I don't need you. I don't need to jump in with you. I definitely don't need to go off to work with you. I don't need to be neurotic because of you. Now, another layer. So we've just added a few layers to become familiar with watching the cars. And now we're going to give your monkey mind a job and welcome him back every time that he returns. So your monkey mind, that chattering mind, if you're like me or you're neurodivergent, you've got the racing mind and stuff like that, you know what it's like. That fucker doesn't shut up, constantly on your back, multiple voices going at once, going, hey, do this, do this, do this, shiny object, do that. Oh, you're a piece of shit. Oop, I need to worry about that one there. That's interesting. When it comes to calming down the monkey mind and giving it a job, you need to make sure that you've given it a job that it can focus on completely, that it can get fixated on. The best way to do this is through the breath. So at the start of the podcast, doing the body awareness stuff, I spoke about your breath. What does it feel like? What's your chest doing? What's your belly doing? Are you breathing through your nose? Are you breathing through your mouth? I want you to give the monkey mind a job. I want you to be specific with my breath. I want you to breathe in really, really deep through my nose and then out through my mouth. Expand my ribs, expand my belly, diaphragmatic breathing. And I want you to count each breath. I like to go backwards from 100 and then count my start that again. I like to count my way back from 100 down to 0 and then count my way back up 1 through to 100 again. I do this with every breath. If I'm a little bit too stimulated, if I'm a little bit too hyper, I've had too much caffeine in the day and I can't meditate because I've got high range beta brain waves, and caffeine is a great way of jacking yourself up into that area. What I'll do is I'll count backwards. I'll close my eyes, focus on the cars, count backwards with each breath. And each breath, 100, 99. And I'll just do that all the way down from 100 down to 0. And this is a great way of allowing my monkey mind to make sure that it's not getting distracted and it's not giving me any more cars to focus on with my road. So now we're becoming familiar with, you've got the highway with the cars, you've got giving your monkey mind a bit of a task, focusing on your breathing. These are all things that you can consciously do to allow yourself to become unconscious, so you can allow yourself to get into the subconscious, down into theta brainwaves, all through meditation. And the big thing here is it's not woo-woo, it's not voodoo, it's nothing like this. It's something that is just a deep state of relaxation. So much so that the state of meditation and hypnosis, that theta brainwaves, you do that twice every single day. Before you're going to sleep, you have this moment where your eyes are closed and your body is in deep relaxation. When you're in this deep state of relaxation, you're switching things off. You're not consciously there anymore. You're not running around a million miles an hour trying to focus on what's going to happen the next day. You're in this state of limbo. And if you're like me, it's 30 seconds of limbo and you're out. It's basically head on the pillow, roll over, and you're done. And that state of deep relaxation before you go to sleep, where everything's kind of twilight, you've got your eyes closed, your body's calming down, your breathing's getting deeper, and all of a sudden, you're out. That is the exact same state as hypnosis. Think of it when you're first waking up in the morning, the sun's cracking through the curtains, and you can hear the birds chirping outside. Your eyes are closed though. You're still technically asleep. You can start to recognize, you're like, oh, I need to pee, but I don't want to get out of bed yet. Your eyes are still closed. Consciously, you're there, but you're also in this limbo state. You're in this twilight state again. This twilight state that you have every morning, waking up from bed, that is hypnosis, that is meditation. How cool is that? I'm 34 this year. That means for almost 34 years, I've been getting hypnotized and meditating in that same state of relaxation twice a day for that time. And so have you. So it really dispels that I can't meditate, that I can't be hypnotized. Because everything comes down to choice. Everything comes down to your ability to choose to create strategies and to be able to work with, not work against. Not be too conscious, not to have too much monkey mind that starts chattering and clanging cymbals and trying to distract you away from what you wanted to do with that meditation. Okay, this is a really important one. When it comes to meditating, like I said, with an intention, I want you to make sure that you have a set intention for every time that you meditate, and then let it go. Which sounds a little bit paradoxical. However, it's really important that you don't hold on to outcomes. The more you hold on to outcomes, the more that you're going to be conscious, the more that you're going to ruin your experience of meditation. You're not going to be as relaxed, not going to be allowing yourself to get down into the theta brainwaves or even low alpha brainwaves. and there's too much control. This is the time for you to relax and to let go of control. When you have that intention, say I want to meditate today upon karma is the first thing that comes to mind. So if tonight I go to meditate, I'm going to set the intention, I'm going to meditate on the karma that I have, and then I'm going to let it go. Whatever I get in that meditation, even if it's short, if it's long, if it's intense, if it's visual, if it's honestly psychedelic sometimes for myself, if I have body sensations, whatever happens, I'm going to accept that. I'm going to receive it. It might not be karma that I needed to meditate on tonight. It might be something completely different. But I want you to make sure that when you set your intention, that you can write it down maybe, and then let it go and go, okay, deep relaxing breath. I let go. I receive whatever I'm meant to receive. So this is a really interesting caveat here for meditation. Not so good for hypnosis, mainly meditation. What you consume has an interaction with your style of meditation. So what do I mean by this? Everything that we consume into our body digests, and we get to absorb. I guess this is going to sound a bit woo-woo. This might lose a few people. We get to absorb the essence of it. What I mean by that is when you have a beer and you go meditate, it's a completely different feeling. You have a wine and meditate, really different feeling. Maybe you smoke some weed, super different feeling. It's amazing what happens. And edibles, completely different altogether. So these chemicals can be the same with food. They can be the same with coffee if you're game enough to try meditate with coffee. I've done it a few times. I don't recommend it. It's very erratic. It's not a nice, relaxing energy. But the substances that you ingest, they can affect your meditation really, really badly or really positively. So if you want to try and play with some things to be able to calm you down, maybe some chamomile tea, something like that, just to be able to allow you to get nice and relaxed, your body will interact with that tea. Your body will interact with the wine or the beer or the whiskey or whatever you have. I used to do it a lot. I used to do it quite a lot to be able to experience just different interactions. It was really interesting. Like I said, I've been a student of consciousness for a long time, a very long time now. And so there's an experimental phase that you'll go through when it comes to learning about, meditation, escaping the matrix, all that kind of stuff. Poor darling. Okay, so that's talking a lot about meditation. Let's jump into hypnosis. So the major difference between meditation and hypnosis is, honestly, it's nothing. Hypnosis a lot of the time has to have someone hypnotize you, except when it comes to hypnosis, someone is talking, someone is making noises out of their face, they're making words, they're telling you to follow suggestions. However, you're the one who actually has to consciously do it. You're the one who has to agree upon it, to do the suggestions, to close your eyes, to focus on your breath, to relax, to, imagine yourself walking down a staircase, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, so on and so forth. The idea of hypnosis is all hypnosis is self-hypnosis, the same as meditation. You might be doing a guided meditation, like I said. However, it's all self-hypnosis. It's all getting into this state of theta brain waves where you're in this deep, relaxing state, seat of the subconscious, and you can reprogram things. There is layers and layers to hypnosis. There is layers and layers to meditation as well. One thing that I want you guys to start experimenting with hypnosis is, think of it this way. Affirmations are a great way to hypnotize yourself. What do I mean by that? When you hypnotize yourself, when you do hypnosis with someone else, you are getting into a suggestible state. The seat of the subconscious mind is bursting open and it's ready to be reprogrammed. One of the quickest ways to set in a new belief is to read affirmations over and over and over so that you can tell yourself and condition your body to what that feels like. So my girls, they both have affirmations that they have to read every single morning. They haven't done it in a little while now, just because of what's been going on for the family. However, it's something that Rachel and I were talking about today when it came to Sophia. She's very hard on herself. She's very, very hard on herself. It's really hard to watch as a parent too. And, she says, I'm never going to do this and I can't do it. And, like she gets really upset and really frustrated, which, breaks our heart. So we're going to bring some affirmations back. And the affirmations that the kids have is to be able to remind themselves over and over and to condition their bodies to what these words actually mean. So their affirmations that I've given them are, I am smart, I am strong, I am beautiful, I am loved, I am worthy, I am a genius, and I set my mind, I am a genius and I apply myself every day. That's John DeMartini's. And then I can do anything that I set my mind to. So they have 7 affirmations that they say over and over and over to themselves, and it allows them to feel these things, because the way that we've spoken about this before, but the way that we become the man that we want to become on, the straight and narrow path towards the North Star is we have to embody that man right now. If we embody everything that's inside of that man right now, we are changing our subconscious, we're changing our programming, we're upgrading our standards, we are changing that blueprint, that internal blueprint of ourselves to become that man. That is the exact same thing as hypnosis. It's the exact same thing, because one of the quickest ways, like I was saying, to reprogram the subconscious is repetition. You repeat it over and over and over. If you don't believe me and you have poor mental health or have had poor mental health, how's that voice going inside your head that's very critical of you, that says you're a failure, you says that you're worth nothing? How's that going? Because that didn't happen once. It happened thousands and thousands of times. So that voice that was inside of my head that said you're a failure, you're a terrible father, that was me saying it to myself in my abusive relationship that I was in over and over and over, till one day I believed it. So the way that we can change our internal blueprint, to change our self-image, to change our emotions and, these sorts of things, is we can use hypnosis, we can use affirmations, meditation, to be able to go down into that seat of the subconscious in the theta brainwaves and reprogram it, reinstall new things. And that's the beautiful thing about hypnosis. When you get down into deep theta brainwaves, and I won't go into the technicalities of it, there's layers to hypnosis. When you get down into the bottom layers of theta brainwaves, you can do some amazing things. Amazing things. A client that I was working with when I went and did all my hypnosis certs and stuff like that, she always wore a scarf around her neck. And this scarf was hiding something underneath. She had, I can't remember what the skin condition was. So I hypnotized her. She wrote down a bunch of things that she wanted me to install into her subconscious and to reprogram and stuff like that. And then one of the things was around self-worth and beauty. She wanted me to repeat over and over this affirmation of, I am beautiful, I am safe, I am strong, I am beautiful, I am safe, I am strong. And these 3 here, I saw a shift. I saw something transform in front of me. All of a sudden, she got hot. And while she was hypnotized, takes her scarf off, throws it on the ground. And I don't know, it might have been eczema or something like that. It disappeared from her throat. I watched this in real time. This woman that is hypnotized by me, the hypnotist, the hypnotherapist, I install all these things into her subconscious. She rips off the scarf and her skin condition cleared in front of my eyes. This is what's called somnambulism. Like I said, I'm not going to get into the details of that sort of stuff. But what you can do through this state is you can heal the body. You can heal trauma, you can heal emotions, you can reprogram anything you want to and basically have it lock in place just like that. It is so powerful. So if you're a little bit hesitant around hypnosis, I get it. Having someone say things to you that you take as a suggestion, like, can you go take the trash out? You follow that suggestion. I get it though. A little bit tongue in cheek, but I get it. I was hesitant too, until the first time I experienced hypnosis. And then the next time I said, take me because I want to get all that I can get from that exact same place that I just was. I want the relaxation. I want the peace. I want the clarity. I want the love. I want all of the things that I felt inside of that session. I want that again and again and again. And I became a junkie, to be honest. I love hypnosis. Hypnosis feels so damn good. So damn good. And when you know how powerful it is about reprogramming the subconscious, about past life regressions, about creating mind movies and stuff like that, honestly, your imagination is as far as you can get. It's ridiculous. It is so much fun though. All right, so we've spoken about hypnosis, reprogramming the subconscious. Okay, last one, flow state. So very, very similar to a waking meditation. So a waking meditation is where you keep your eyes open and you're still awake, you're still in alpha brain waves, and you're focused on bodily sensations, much like what I gave with you guys before, where we're talking about notice the heaviness on our eyes, notice the breath, the tingling, all these sorts of things. So that sort of meditation, that waking meditation, is very similar to the flow state. It's where you get that observer effect and you get to zoom out and you get almost like a top-down approach some people get, or, like for myself, I kind of see myself over my left-hand shoulder, observing everything. It's a weird sensation. When you're in the flow state, time disappears. It is just completely gone. And your brain waves are moving between alpha, if not theta, if you're awake. What happens in this flow state is you're tapping into your subconscious programming. So I've spoken before about a famous US Special Forces quote: "You don't rise to the occasion, you fall back to your level of training." That saying is the exact same thing for when it comes to getting into flow state. So your subconscious has all of your values, beliefs, morals, emotions, memories, all these sorts of things. It also has all your behavioral skills. So if you're a carpenter, if you're a plumber, if you're a burger flipper, if you do jiu-jitsu, if you do Muay Thai, it has all of those deeply rooted inside of it. So when you are not consciously there and your subconscious is taking over, it's doing for you. This is where that US Special Forces saying comes in. Because if you're not consciously thinking about having to, I'm going to go this way, I'm going to get into mount, isolate the arm, try and get arm up under, get a bite on it, move the arm over to the other side, get into the arm triangle position, so on, that's too clunky and it's way too slow. And if you've got someone more experienced than you, they're going to absolutely dominate you because they know what's coming, because, they're 3 steps ahead of where you are because you're setting it up step by step. Same thing comes for going to the gym. It's not like, you're going to do a bench press and you unrack the weight, you're focused, you take a deep breath, pull your lats down, weight into the outside of your hands, pinkies crushed in so you can use the right tension, pull the bar down, use your lats, all these, that's so clunky. What you do is you go, okay, set a bench press, unrack, breathe, bang, 1, 2, so on and so forth. The same thing happens in your job, the same thing happens with everything. That flow state you can get into is where your conscious mind, it gets distracted, it gets pulled out of the equation, and that subconscious can take over, and it does for you. Now, you can't be a flow state junkie because you can actually burn yourself out from spending too much time in flow state. There's some great book. I can't remember the name of the book. I'll put it into the comments after I finish editing this podcast, and into the description. There's a great book. I think it's called Stealing Fire by Steve Kotler. I'm going to verify that, guys. That one there will be a great introduction to into flow state. Then some guidance around meditation. I would strongly suggest checking out Dr. Joe Dispenza. His work is phenomenal. He's got some amazing books. Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, Becoming Supernatural are some of my favorites. And then getting a little bit further, it's not so much about meditation, but it's about consciousness. And I would read Eckhart Tolle's A New Earth and The Power of Now. Those two are absolutely amazing. And hypnosis, there's a bunch of hypnosis out there. Simply just all you have to do is YouTube the Milton model and you will find 100,000 videos talking about the Milton model. Talking about hypnosis, you'll find so many people talking about this stuff. There is so much information out there everywhere. One thing that I want you guys to do over this coming week, there's going to be some meditations that I've pre-recorded from years ago that are going live on the YouTube channel, on the R.Y.S.E Movement YouTube channel. Jump over and have a go, have a play. When it comes to consciousness, emotions, all these sorts of things, I want you to create a bit of childlike curiosity. I want you to have play. So when I say, put on some headphones, close your eyes, take a deep breath, you start playing with it. You start going, okay, I'm going to see where this goes. I'm going to have some fun. So Dave said, close my eyes, take a deep breath. Okay, I'll do that. Oh, I actually feel really good after that one breath. I like that. Dave said, take another deep breath. Okay, I'm going to do that. And just play. Bring a bit of childlike curiosity so that you can play with your consciousness, so that you can learn to meditate, learn to get into a deep, relaxing state. There's one that's actually coming up that's going to be a hypnosis video as well. So that one's completely different. Just make sure, guys, you're not doing it while you're in the car and you're not doing it while you're at work or operating machinery. This is something to be done where you are either sitting or laying down in peace and quiet, where you're not going to be disturbed for 20 minutes to half an hour. So that's all for another episode. Thank you so much for being here, guys. Until I see you again, much love. Thank you for being with me today. Thank you for subscribing and leaving a review. It really helps us out. Until next time, take care and much love.